When my daughter texted me on my birthday, I smiled before opening it. I thought maybe she was busy, maybe she couldn't call but wanted to wish me in her own way. But when I read the message, the smile faded slowly, like a candle going out. Mom, we need space from you. Please don't reach out anymore. At all. I read it again, thinking maybe I misunderstood. But no, those were her exact words. My heart stopped for a moment. Then it began to beat so hard I could feel it in my throat. I sat there, holding my phone, staring at the screen as if maybe it would change. It didn't. Outside, the wind was blowing against the window. Inside, everything felt still. My birthday cake was sitting untouched on the table, the candles still standing straight. I had baked it myself that morning, just in case she and her family dropped by like they did last year. But now I knew they wouldn't. Not this year. Maybe not ever. I didn't cry right away. Sometimes, pain takes its time. It sits quietly inside you before it decides to show itself. That night, when I finally closed my eyes, her words kept echoing in my head. Please don't reach out anymore. Hello everyone. My name is Margaret Lane, but most people just call me Grandma Maggie. Thank you for listening to my story today. It's not easy to tell, but maybe someone out there needs to hear it. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel. It helps me share more stories from the heart. And if you've ever had a story of your own, something painful, something that changed you, tell me in the comments. I'd love to know where you're from and how you found your way back to peace. Now, let me tell you what really happened. I was born in a quiet town where people still wave to each other from across the street. It's the kind of place where everyone knows your name, and time moves just a little slower. I raised my daughter, Emily, in that same town. Her father, my late husband Richard, passed when she was only 9. After that, it was just the two of us. I worked 2 jobs, teaching part-time at the local school and helping in the library on weekends. It wasn't easy, but Emily never went without. I made sure she had warm meals, new shoes for school, and a home filled with love. We weren't rich, but we had peace, the kind that comes from routine, from small joys, from being needed. Emily was a bright, sweet child. She loved books, loved the smell of old paper in the library. Sometimes she'd sit on the floor while I worked, reading quietly. I remember her tiny voice saying, "Mom, when I grow up, I want to be just like you." Those were the words that carried me through many long nights. Years passed. She grew up, went to college, and built her own life in the city. She met a man named Adam, kind, well-spoken, from a good family. I liked him right away. He treated her with care. When they got married, I cried tears of joy. Every mother dreams of seeing her child loved and safe. At first, everything seemed fine. They lived 2 hours away, but we spoke often. She'd call on Sundays, and sometimes they'd visit for holidays. I'd cook her favorite, roast chicken with lemon butter. Then they had a little boy, my first grandson, Ethan. Oh, how that little soul changed everything. He was sunshine. And suddenly, I was Grandma Maggie. I'd drive down every few weeks to help, folding laundry, cooking meals, rocking the baby to sleep. Emily always said, "Mom, I don't know what I'd do without you." And I'd laugh, saying, "You do just fine, my girl. You're strong." But slowly, things began to change. I started noticing small things first. Missed calls that were never returned. Messages seen but not replied to. When I'd ask to visit, she'd say, "Oh, Mom, this weekend's not great. Maybe next one. Next one would come, and something else would happen. I told myself she was just busy. A young mother, juggling work and home. I remembered what that felt like. But it wasn't just that. Whenever I did visit, I felt something in the air. A quiet tension. Adam was polite but distant. Emily smiled, but her eyes didn't. Once, I offered to take Ethan for a few days so they could rest. Emily hesitated. Then she said, "Maybe not this time, Mom. He's in a new routine." I nodded, though my heart sunk. Later that night, while I washed the dishes, I heard them whispering in the living room. Adam's voice, low, firm. Emily's, softer, nervous. I couldn't hear the words, but I knew it was about me. I stayed quiet. I didn't want to cause trouble. But after that night, something invisible settled between us. Like a closed door that no one wanted to open. When I came home that weekend, I cried quietly in my kitchen. I told myself maybe it was just the way life goes. Children grow, they build their own world, and sometimes, mothers become visitors in it. Still, I kept trying. Every few days, I'd text her, "How's Ethan?" or "Love you, sweetheart." Sometimes she'd reply. Sometimes she wouldn't. I didn't want to push too hard. I thought if I gave her space, things would go back to normal. But I was wrong. One day, when I dropped by unannounced, just for a quick hello, Adam opened the door. He looked surprised, almost annoyed. "Hi, Margaret," he said, standing in the doorway but not moving aside. "Is Emily home?" I asked. "She's resting. Busy day." I smiled softly. "I won't stay long." I brought Ethan some muffins. He hesitated, then stepped aside. Emily came out after a few minutes, her hair tied back, tired eyes. "Mom, you didn't tell me you were coming. I wanted to surprise you." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Mom, please don't just drop by next time. We are trying to keep things organized here. Ethan's schedule is very strict." I felt small then. Like I had done something wrong without meaning to. I nodded, clutching my bag. "Of course, sweetheart. I'll call next time." She hugged me before I left, but it was a quick hug, polite, not warm. That night, I sat in my car for a long time before driving home. I thought about how silence between loved ones can be louder than any argument. The months that followed were worse. Holidays came and went. No invitations. Ethan's birthday passed, no call. Then came Christmas. I mailed gifts, a sweater for Emily, a toy train for Ethan. A week later, the package returned, unopened. There was no note. Just silence. And then came that final text. On the morning of my birthday. "Mom, we need space from you. Please don't reach out anymore. At all." That was the moment something in me broke. That night after I read Emily's message, I didn't sleep. The house was quiet, too quiet. The clock on the wall ticked louder than it ever had before. Every tick felt like a small reminder of how much time had passed, and how I had somehow lost my place in my own daughter's life. I sat at the kitchen table until dawn, the same table where I once helped her with homework, where we shared soup on rainy days, where she once told me, "Mom, you're my best friend." And now, she needed space. I kept reading her message over and over again, searching for something, maybe a hidden softness, a word that showed love. But there wasn't any. just distance, just finality. I thought about calling her anyway, or driving to her home. But a small voice in my heart said, don't chase what doesn't want to be found right now. So I didn't. Instead, I went outside as the sun was rising. The sky was painted with soft pinks and oranges, and I felt tears on my face before I even realized I was crying. I whispered quietly, what did I do wrong? No one answered, of course. Only the morning birds. The days after that was slow and heavy. I tried to keep busy, reading, gardening, cleaning, but everything reminded me of her. The empty chair at the table. The photo of her wedding on the wall. Ethan's little toy car still sitting on the shelf from his last visit. I thought maybe she'd call after a few weeks. Maybe she'd realize I didn't mean any harm. But weeks turned to months, and there was only silence. Sometimes I'd open her social media, quietly, secretly, just to see that she was okay. She looked happy in the photos. Her family smiling. Ethan growing taller. In one picture, they were all together by a Christmas tree. She wore a red sweater I had given her years ago. That gave me a strange comfort, knowing a small piece of me was still there, even if I wasn't. But the ache didn't go away. One afternoon, my neighbor Helen knocked on my door. She's been my friend for years, gentle, talkative, always bringing pie. She looked at me with concern. Maggie, are you all right? You look pale. I smiled faintly. I'm fine, Helen. Just a little tired. She didn't believe me. She came in anyway, sat down, and took my hand. Is it Emily again? She asked softly. I nodded, and the tears came before I could stop them. I told her everything, the distance, the silence, the message. She listened quietly, squeezing my hand from time to time. When I finished, she said something I still remember. Maggie, sometimes love isn't about holding on tighter. Sometimes it's about letting go quietly, and waiting for the right time to open the door again. Her words stayed with me. That night, I decided to do something I hadn't done in a long time. I took out an old notebook, the one I used to write in when Emily was a little girl, and I began to write her letters. Not to send, not yet. Just to write. Letters about how much I loved her. Letters about the little things, the garden blooming, the smell of fresh bread, the way the sun looked through the curtains. Every time I missed her, I'd write another one. It helped me breathe again. Months passed. One day, I received a card in the mail, no return address, but the handwriting was familiar. It was from Adam. My heart raced as I opened it. Inside, it said, Maggie, I know things have been hard. Emily needs time, but please know she doesn't hate you. She's just struggling to balance everything. Give her some time. She'll come around. I stared at those words for a long moment. They didn't heal everything, but they gave me a thread of hope to hold on to. That night, I whispered a small prayer. God, keep my daughter safe. And if she ever needs me again, let her find her way back. And then, for the first time in months, I slept peacefully. It was nearly a year later, my next birthday, when the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened the door, I froze. It was Emily. Standing there, holding a cake. Her eyes were teary, her smile shaky. Hi, Mom. I couldn't speak. My throat closed up. She stepped forward and whispered, Can I come in? I nodded. We stood in silence for a moment before she said softly, I'm sorry, Mom. For everything. I was wrong. Tears fell freely then, hers and mine. She told me how things had been hard, how she had felt overwhelmed as a mother, how Adam had been struggling with work, how she thought I judged her when I only wanted to help. She said she'd felt smothered, not realizing all I was trying to do was love her. And then she said the words I had been waiting for all year. I missed you, Mom. That afternoon, we sat together in the kitchen, the same place where everything once began. The sun came through the curtains, warm and soft. She looked older somehow, wiser, maybe sadder too. We talked for hours. About her life, about mine, about how easy it is for love to get lost between pride and misunderstanding. She told me she had gone through old photos and realized how much of me was in every memory she cherished. She said she was sorry for pushing me away. I told her I was sorry, too, for maybe not seeing her struggles clearly enough, for trying to help too much instead of just listening. We both cried, but it wasn't like before. It was a healing kind of crying, the kind that washes away the dust of silence. When we finally smiled again, it felt real. She said, Mom, I want you to know. Ethan asks about you all the time. I laughed softly through my tears. Does he now? She nodded. He misses Grandma Maggie's cookies. That was all I needed to hear. Over the next weeks, our bond slowly came back to life. She'd call me every few days, small things at first. Mom, what do I do for Ethan's school? Mom, do you still have that chicken recipe? And I'd answer gently, happy just to hear her voice. Then one day, she invited me to visit again. I was nervous, scared it might be awkward. But when I arrived, Ethan ran to me and hugged my legs. Grandma. You came, he shouted. Emily smiled through tears. He never forgot you, Mom. We spent the day baking cookies, playing games, laughing. It felt like time had turned back for a little while. That night, as I watched them from the couch, my daughter and my grandson, I realized something important. Distance doesn't erase love. Silence doesn't mean the end. Sometimes, people just need to find their own way back. Later that night, Emily handed me something, a small box. Inside were all the letters I had written. My heart stopped. How did you get these? I asked. She smiled through tears. Adam found them in your drawer when he came by last month. He thought I should read them. She looked down, her voice trembling. Mom, every word made me cry. I didn't know how much you were hurting. I didn't know how much I had pushed you away. I took her hand and said softly, It doesn't matter now, sweetheart. You're here. That's all that matters. We hugged, and I felt her heart beating against mine. It felt like home. That night, after she left, I sat by the window again. The same window I used to stare out of when I thought I had lost her forever. But now, the air felt lighter. Peaceful. I thought about how life has a way of teaching us patience through pain. Sometimes we have to let go, even when every part of us wants to hold on. And sometimes, love finds its way back, quietly, gently, when the time is right. I no longer check my phone every morning hoping for her message. Now, I just smile when it rings. Because I know she will call, not out of guilt, not out of obligation, but out of love. We've both changed. We talk honestly now. We laugh about small things again. She tells me stories about it and sometimes she even asks for advice, just like she used to. And every time she says, love you, Mom. I whisper back, I never stopped. If you're listening to this and your heart feels heavy because someone you love has grown distant, please remember this. Sometimes silence is not rejection. Sometimes it's just someone trying to find themselves. Keep your heart open, even when it hurts. Love quietly. Wait patiently. And when they come back, because they often do, hold them, not with blame, but with grace. Because forgiveness heals what pride never can. Thank you, my dear listeners, for spending this time with me. My name is Grandma Maggie, and this was my story. If it touched your heart, please subscribe, share it with someone who might need it today, and tell me in the comments. Have you ever had to let someone go and wait for them to come back? I'd love to hear your story too.